Hello and welcome to this new tutorial. My name is Eric Patterson. Today we're going to talk about variable in Jenkins. So we basically talk about what is a global variable in Jenkins, what is in-stage variable in Jenkins, and what are built-in variable in Jenkins. As a DevOps engineer, or if you use Jenkins for anything, you need to know how this variable work, especially when it comes to like the Jenkins file. We do everything the Jenkins file. If you haven't subscribed with us yet, please go ahead and subscribe and also like the video. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, linking as well. So let's go ahead and talk about what is a variable and see how to manage those variables. So I have a repository here, and in this repository, I have a simple Jenkins file. Let me copy that and put on VS Code. So I have a simple Jenkins file. Then I also have it on VS Code here. So this is a simple Jenkins file. It has 3 stages: the build stage, the test stage, the verify stage, and then on the deploy stage. Now, let's go ahead and create a simple pipeline and put this there. So I will go to new item, probably here. We can create the job variable, right? We can create a job variable and we use pipeline. It's here. Now, we can go ahead and use source code management. I want to use Git here. And we can copy. This is a public repository, so you don't have to supply any credential. You can copy this, and the branch name is not master, it is develop. We go ahead and apply this and save. We run this. Just a simple pipeline. It passed. We have the build stage, the test stage, the verify stage, and then we have the deploy stage. Now, we can call actually a global variable and use it. I can generate a variable and use it. If I go here to pipeline syntax, for example, I can generate a variable. I click here on declarative. I will go here and check where I can go and create a variable. Variable is used as environment in Jenkins, so I can click here environment. Then I can add a variable, right? Let's say, for example, I can call the variable name. I can add this variable name. Let's give him the value user, for example. We can maybe, if you want, add another variable called, for example, country. Let's give him Mexico, right? Let's give him the value Mexico, for example, right? Now, we can generate a snippet for that. We just have to basically copy that and put it here. It goes here, right? So now we can run this, right? We can go ahead and run this, right? Now, when you put a variable here, this variable here is a global variable, meaning that that variable can be used by any stage, right? It's a global variable. It can be used by any stage. But let's first of all go ahead and run this. It's not going to do anything. I just want to run so that you guys see that it doesn't hurt the pipeline. So if you're not familiar with Jenkins file, you can go ahead and watch my video on introduction on the Jenkins file. I explain everything, what is the environment, then I explain everything that is mandatory on the Jenkins file, the declarative Jenkins file, and everything that is optional. So we can go ahead and build our job one more time. Everything's still good. Like I said earlier, it's not going to do anything actually on the job. Now, let's come down here. If I want to print this variable here, let's come down here. I like to just use this form. For example, let's come down here. I would say I will make a global change. I would say sh123. Go to the bottom. I would say echo $ name. I also go to the bottom, 123. Now we can print this on all this stage, right? We can print this value in all this stage, right? So let's go ahead and test that. I will go ahead and put it here one more time, edit this file, paste. Technically, you should do this with Git, but this is just like a demo video to show you. Here now. Now, if we go to the console output, as we can see, it started on the build stage. We ran the command echo. We said echo user, echo name, and return user, because here, as we mentioned, Name is the key and user is the value. So we store user into name, and when we query name, it return user. The same thing happened on the test stage here. The same thing happened on the verify stage here. The same thing happened on this stage. So that's called a global variable, meaning that it is a variable, and we store that under environment. It is a variable that when you pass, it can be used in all the stages, right? It is a variable that when you pass, it can be used in all the stages. The same thing for Mexico. If we come down here and we say country Mexico, for example, I would say echo, right? I am from $Mexico, right? You can pass that and it will be able to print, for example, in all the stage. In case we're able to see this variable in all the stages. So let's see here. Let's apply one more time. Let's make a quick change on that. Let's build. View number 5 is there. Let's check the console output. I'm from Mexico. On every single stage says I'm from Mexico. I'm from Mexico, right? We can also see the output of this stage just by clicking on the log for Mexico there. And we can also, just by clicking on the log, it will give us the return, right? By clicking the log, we also give us a return. Now, what if I do this? What if I create a variable in the stage, right? What if I create a variable in the stage? Let's come down here. Let's remove all this and only deal with one for now. What if I do this? If I come here, I'll say, for example, app equal canary, right? Now, if I say echo $, app, I will be able to have the return canary. So I only did that on the build stage. So let's copy that and let's go back and test it one more time. Let's see what happens. Well, let's check the console output, or we can stay here, like I mentioned. We can stay here and check this. Let me see where I put it on the code. Put it on the build section. Let's go to the console output so that we have more. Now, here, if we look at the build, here, I said echo app equal canary. When I said echo $app, it returned canary, right? I said echo $app, it returned canary. Now, this is what is called in-stage variable, right? This is a global variable. That's how you create a global variable. And this is what I call in-stage variable here. This variable that I just created here on line number 14, that's in-stage variable. Now, let's see if you can go ahead and print that variable here. Let's imagine that I copy this, then I come here under test, I put it, and I will also put it, for example, I put it under test. Let's see if I will be able to see that variable under test, for example, right? So let's copy everything. Let's go back here. Let's update this. Let's come down here. Let's build. Build number 7 will pop out soon. Let's check the console output. Now, let's come down here on the test, right? It says echo empty value. Why is it giving me an empty value here on the echo? Right? It says echo and then it gave me an empty value. For example, echo, it gave me an empty value under the test. But remember, in our code, under test, we said echo R. We set echo app. The echo app is working here. So here we store a variable. We set echo app, it works. But when we come here, we say echo app, it doesn't work, right? We say echo app, it return canary here. But when we say echo app here, it doesn't work. Why? Because in Jenkins, if you create an instance variable, that variable is only available to that stage. There's no variable exchange between stages in Jenkins, right? So if you want to exchange variable between stages in Jenkins, you use the global, the environment variable up here, which is called the global variable, right? Now, if you set any variable in a stage, it will not work. It's not transferable to other stage. So the variable are only unique for stage. It is very important to know the difference between both. If you want your variable to be used anywhere else, put it here in other environment. But if you just want that to be used inside a specific stage, you can go ahead and use it on the specific stage, and be mindful that it cannot be shared with other stages. Now, there's also built-in variable, right? There are also built-in variables. When I say built-in variable, it means that those are variables that are known by Jenkins, right? They are built-in variables, and let's go ahead and delete this. They are built-in variable, and those are variables that are known by Jenkins. Now, to have the list of those built-in variables, those variables that are known by Jenkins, for example, you can open the job. We go here to the pipeline syntax. Let's open that here. It will open this for us. Then you go to global variable reference, right? Those are built-in variables. Then you look for this section here where it says environment, right? Now here, be mindful. There are variables that can only be read by the multi-branch pipeline job, and there are variables that can be read by other job. For example, if you look at this variable here, you will see for multi-pipeline, all these variables here are for multi-pipeline, right? Thinking we tell you these are for multi-pipeline, but these are different, right? It doesn't talk about multi-pipeline no more. Why am I saying this? If I pick this variable, for example, branch name, right? If I pick this variable branch name, I come down here, I put it here. Let's say, I say, for example, echo, say echo $, right? I'll say echo $, for example, branch name. Okay, let's try to print this. This is not a multi-pipeline job. You won't be able to print that branch name, right? That should be technically return the branch that we are on right now. So let's go back. Let's go in here. I'll put that and see if see what's going to happen. So let's commit and save. Let's come down here and let's build it now. Build number 8 is happening here. Let's go to the console output. See, it's empty. It didn't print anything because this is not a multi-branch pipeline job. This is not a multi-branch pipeline job. Therefore, it didn't print anything. Now, if we do the same thing, if I take this pipeline, right? If I take this pipeline here, for example, let me put it on a different branch, right? If I take this pipeline and let me put it on the different branch, or we have a multi-branch pipeline job here. This is a multi-branch pipeline job here, right? Now let's take, for example, the branch, or let's create a branch, right? Let's create a branch, or maybe let's use the B1 branch, right? You can use the B1 branch here. So let's go ahead and use the B1 branch. So if I come down here, there's a branch here called B1, which I can use, B1 branch. I can come down here. I am on the B1 branch. I can go ahead and modify that branch and put the correct pipeline, for example, right? So let's modify this and let's put our pipeline. Let's apply and let's save. Now, I will come down here under the B1 pipeline here. I will try to trigger that, the build now. It's going to give me another build. It went ahead and ran. As you can see, it gave me the build test. That's my pipeline here. Now let's check here what's going on. You see, branch B1. This was able to return my branch name. Why? Because I am the multi-branch pipeline job. But earlier, I was on the pipeline job. This is a pipeline job, not a multi-branch pipeline job. So there are some variables. There are some variables that can only be printed, that can only be used or where you are on the multi-branch pipeline job. And those are built-in variables like the branch name, like you don't need to specify, like you can use this to automatically print the branch name, the change ID, all this. And if you want the one that can be used by regular pipeline, are these. Now, the most important, the one that I've seen being used a lot in the industry is example, this build number, right? People use this build number a lot. This will print, for example, the build number, right? This will print, for example, the build number here. This will print the build number. If we take this and we come down here and update it. So let's change, we are not in B1. Let's go to develop, where our pipeline is located. Let's come down here. Let's update that instead here. So I will change everywhere that says this branch name, right? Build number. Let's see what it will return. And when we are talking about build numbers, we are talking about this build here, right? Build numbers are actually built here. It should basically print 9 because the next build is going to be 9. So let's build now. So let's check console output. Say build numbers is 9. So you can use that, and these are all these variables. People use this a lot, the build number. I've seen people using this a lot, the build number, probably the build tag, the build name, the node label, the workspace. This one is also very important when you want to print the workspace, meaning that the current directory for the job. For example, you can print the workspace. Let's pick a couple of variables here and print them and see the results. So let's go ahead and pick a couple of variables there and just print them. So I'm going to open another sheet. So let's take, for example, here the node name that's being used. Let's take, for example, the node label. You can take the workspace. I'm just going to pick the one that I mostly use, the one that you will mostly see, like let's pick, for example, this one, Jenkins home, the Jenkins URL, right? Probably if you want the build URL, we don't have to do the build URL. Just are just few, right? Let's just not get crazy and try to get a lot of this. So I will say here quote, then I will end with quote here as well. Quote, let's quote all this. Then we can pass an echo in front of it to print everything. So let's copy this. Let's come back here and let's basically add it here, right? We just have to add it. We don't have to add it on everything. Let's do this. Let's add it only on the first stage, right? And let's print it. Let's print it. Let's come down here. Let's go back. Add it here. We add it to the build stage only. So we come down here and we say build. Launch another build. It's going to give you a build number 10. Let's come here and check, right? Let's come here and check. I said echo node name, right? It return node name, echo node labels, return node label, echo workspace, right? $ workspace. You went ahead and return this echo $ Jenkins URL. This was supposed to actually return. Let's see what we did wrong somewhere. The name of the agent, the workspace, this, that. Let's check here. We said view echo the node name. So return the node name, the node URL. Also try to use the build number. Let's see here. Let's say echo $. This, oh, we put quote, right? The problem is that we quote those. So let's remove quote. We said echo, we never put $, right? That's why it didn't work. So let's put $, because this is actually a variable that we are trying to print. Let's put $sign. And when I'm writing Jenkins file, technically I like to use it like this. I like to put $sign and also put constrain it into the constrain those into, for example, a curly bracket, just to make it neat when I'm writing my Jenkins file. So let's need to remove, put here. Yeah, earlier we forget to put the quote. At the quote, we forget to put the $sign. Remember, for variable in Linux, you need to call $sign. So we have all those in here. So I can even go ahead and actually supply that to everything here. We have all those. Let's go ahead and update this time around. You will be happy. Yep, we made a mistake here. We were supposed to pass $sign. We wish we did it. Now let's go ahead and run it one more time. Video number 11. Console output. As you guys can see, we say echo node name. It gave us this echo. I think the next one was the node label, right? I think it gave us everything that we want. So we said echo. So it gave us this, the building. This is workspace where we were. This is another thing that we have here. This is order. So as you guys can see, it printed everything, right? Value Jenkins. This is actually the Jenkins value Jenkins, the Jenkins home. I will say echo. This is the Jenkins URL. If I click here, we open Jenkins in another URL. As you guys can see here. So everything end up working, right? So everything end up working. So that's how you use this variable here, you know, you use this like to print variable, right? That's what you use to print variable. So technically, it's just as simple as it is, right? So here node name, I think node name here we didn't set any node name yet, right? We don't have any node. This is a built-in node and we didn't assign a name to that, right? That's why it didn't return, right? That's why it didn't go ahead and return anything. But other than that, any other thing went ahead and returned what was actually expected, right? So everything went well, and see you guys on the next video. This is how you manage variables. So just remember, they are built-in variable, which are these variable. We say built-in, meaning that you don't have to define them. They have already defined. You just call them. They are global variable, and the global variable, we set it here, and they are also in-stage variable, and in-stage variable are not shareable with other stage. They are unique to the stage, and they can only be consumed by the stage. I hope you like the video. If you like, go ahead and subscribe, and also like the video if you haven't done so. Remember that you can follow us actually on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on liking. So see you guys on next video. It was a pleasure having you guys around.